There were no local police in the same building where crooks made it on the roof. She said there were cops in there. They were securing the perimeter to make sure nobody could get on the roof. She's a liar. What the hell's the Secret Service doing? Like trying to boost some dude up on the roof? Like boosting your little brother over a fence or something? What the hell's going on here?
I mean, as me, I'm looking, let's wait till this is over, and then we can see at the end of the day what we need to correct to make this not happen.
And Sheriff Michael Sloop repeatedly called the security plan flawed.
Whoa! How are these dudes up there? Are they like magicians? Local police are very unhappy with the Secret Service, now saying that they're lying. They're not using that phrase, but we'll use it for them, because what they say happened is very different than what the Secret Service say happened, and the Secret Service are pointing their fingers back at the local PD. Problem is, they're not responsible for this, Secret Services. They are charged with the duty of protecting the president, but for some reason, they're lying, which in my opinion makes this whole thing a cover-up. They have already acknowledged, as we'll explore here, that they should have secured a building like that. They didn't do it because there's a slope that's dangerous and a slope that's not conducive to the balance of Secret Service agents. And they then pointed the fingers at the cops, saying that there were cops in the building. And then turns out that's not true. So this story came out from WPXI, a local entity there in Pennsylvania, and they've got an exclusive. Photos showing a cell phone and a transmitter were also found next to the Trump shooter's body. But the interesting line in this is that according to law enforcement sources in multiple counties in western Pennsylvania, there were two teams of snipers set up near the building where Thomas Crooks fired from Saturday evening. However, in direct contrast to comments made by Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, there were no local police in the same building where Crooks made it on the roof. She said there were cops in there. They were securing the perimeter to make sure nobody could get on the roof. She's a liar. There were no local cops in there. Multiple law enforcement sources described this in detail, and what they described in detail directly contradicts public statements from the Secret Service director. She's a liar. They can't say it, but we'll say it. Channel 11 Nicole's Ford also obtained exclusive photos showing cell phone and a transmitter device were found next to Crooks moments after a Secret Service sniper shot and killed him. On Tuesday, multiple law enforcement sources confirmed with Ford that Crooks was also spotted by the police with a rangefinder. According to multiple sources, when Trump took the stage, Crooks was still on the ground, had not yet climbed the roof of the building. Channel 11 can also confirm that Crooks was on the roof with a gun for fewer than 7 minutes when the Butler Township police officer, not the Secret Service, did something about it. So the Butler police, who, as we're going to hear, they tell us that they had no security duties at all. They were there for traffic. They are the ones who are climbing up onto the roof. Secret Service is still waiting for their pizza to get delivered. So Ford questioned state police on their role in the command center and who was running the top line of communications. She says, well, we cannot release information related to operational security, and so can't tell you anything more here. So the local police and the local administrators, those in charge, are telling us Secret Service is lying to us, not telling us the truth. Their details don't match the local police details. Big surprise. And that's just one local agency who is reporting on that. Now, when we go over and listen to what this gentleman posted, we're going to see he's very upset. So this guy, also from the Butler Township Commission, his name is Edward Natali. And here's what he wrote on Facebook as the town commissioner officially. He says, look, I want to say as clearly as can be said, the Butler Township Police Department had no security detail for this event at all. They're climbing on the roof, Secret Service isn't. There were 7 officers all assigned to traffic detail, period. The police from Butler was not responsible for securing the AGR or any other location. Anyone who says so, reports on it, implies it, etc., is uninformed, lying, or they're covering their own backsides. It's a cover-up by the Secret Service. I trust I am being loud and clear. You are, sir. We're reading your message loudly and clearly here so all can hear. To read this article and someone stating that an unnamed Secret Service agent is pointing the finger at local police is a very transparent deflection. I am disappointed this article was even published by the Butler Radio Network. Well, they're probably co-opted by the feds. So remember, the feds control all the national media, CIA and the FBI. That's where they get all their stories. Every time Washington Post reports, I go to inside source. It's because they're in bed, oftentimes literally, with the intelligence agencies, the DOJ and other 3-letter agencies, literally in bed with them. So they just feed their stories. And we saw this same pattern in Vegas, where the local police were out there reporting the truth and the feds came in to mop it up. So this guy's doing the same. Now, I trust I'm being loud and clear. Now, I'm very disappointed. Now, as Sheriff Sloop stated, the police officers in the general vicinity left their traffic detail to respond to the report of a suspicious person. Even the local cops, who are not assigned to this at all, have figured out that this guy's a threat. With reports reports of a suspect on the roof, the first officer, being assisted by a second officer, was pulling himself up on the roof to see the roof. The suspect turned his firearm on the first officer, who, as Sheriff Sloop stated, was not in a position to wield his weapon to defend himself. So he drops, right? He falls to safety. He's injured in the process. The fact of the matter is that the encounter with the officer most likely forced the shooter to hurry his shots. I think so. A lot of people were condemning those officers, saying, I think we were all thinking they were Secret Service. What the hell's the Secret Service doing? Like trying to boost some dude up on the roof, like boosting your little brother over a fence or something. What the hell's going on here? So they throw him up. He falls back down. Shooter's like, oh crap, cops are onto me. So then he gets out there and starts popping off, the shooter. So maybe these guys were here. Starts really setting up quickly because he knows now the cops are onto him. I don't know why, because apparently the Secret Service doesn't care. But anyways, this guy, Edward, from the commissioner of Butler Township, he says, it is completely disgusting to see finger pointing has become the priority. Yeah. When we had 4 people shot, with one of the 4 fatally wounded. I am sure it is a comfort to all family members, including President Trump's family, that it is more important to affix the blame rather than the problem. The men and women who serve in the Butler police are dedicated to their jobs, the well-being of their fellow citizens, and they love their community. And so get bent, feds, which I think is usually the right answer. And so here's what he said when he was explaining this on Fox. And here is what she said.
I'll settle after it.
Here is what Edward Natali, the same guy who wrote that Facebook post, said to Fox News.
Event like this, but what prompted me to post and on the social media platform last night, and of course obviously talk to you today, is that our local Butler Township Police, their duties that were assigned to them, and we have an operational plan that details all that, were strictly traffic detailed. They were not required or not detailed to any security details related to the event. It's strictly traffic to obviously to help people coming in and out of the event. If there is an emergency, those type of things. We saw the number of people, the number of cars at the event. And I was so frustrated and quite frankly hit my limit again last night when I saw, again, Secret Service says it was the responsibility of the local police department. That's absolutely
ridiculous.
Not correct.
Yeah, the local police
It's your job to protect the president from being shot in the head, local cops.
department is not the entity in charge of the safety and protection of a president or a former president.
Great point.
But once this started to happen, once this shooting began to unfold, the local officers did then try to assist, try to see if they could do anything, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, they realize, holy crap, the Secret Service is completely incompetent. We better do something here.
Local officers that were in the general area, again, performing their assigned detail, once they had some information over there that was transferred to their comms, they went over to look for the suspect. It was identified and were going around the building, and you can see them on the video, one of the officers, and people were pointing, he's up on the roof. Well, we had 2 officers. There was no ladder in the area. We had 2 which is, I want to correct that. There was no ladder in that area.
No ladder in that area.
2 officers, one was lifting the other one up. I mean, you can see the pitch of the roof, which is not that steep. We can get to that in a minute. But to the edge of the roof for them to try to look up and to see where the suspect is, the officer that's being lifted, he is using both hands to grab the edge of the roof to try to pull himself up. In that process, he exposes himself. The shooter turns and points his gun at him. Obviously, he is not in a position. He's pulling himself up with both hands to wield his gun. So obviously, he fell back. He actually, in the process of falling back, he ended up injuring himself. He was not retreating. If he was in a position to engage the shooter, he would have done so.
Yeah.
And that message that's out there is disgusting.
So it's the Secret Service smearing these people. And the idea was, maybe it was the Secret Service who got up there and fell back down, and they're putting the fingers back on the local cops.
That's new information, so thank you for that. Last question for you. We're seeing reporting that Crooks' parents reported that he was missing and called the local police. Can you shed any light on that?
No, I cannot. Obviously, I just heard that, I'll say, within the last few hours, so I can't shed any light on that.
All right, but we do know that has been confirmed. But what's interesting here is that the Secret Service knew this. So apparently, Washington Post, which is a CIA extension, says that the Secret Service was told that police could not watch the building used by the Trump rally shooter. So now we know that the Secret Service was on notice about this. So they should have done their due diligence and protected the building themselves. They didn't. So then they pass it off to the local cops, which is insane because it's their job. And then they're told by the local cops, we can't do that. Then the Secret Service doesn't secure the building. Then they make up a lie that the local cops were inside. Then they make up another lie that they couldn't put people on the roof because it was sloped. And now they're blaming the cops for this problem. problem, which is part of their cover-up. So they were intentionally making decisions to enable this entire building to be open. And they knew that it would be open. Secret Service was told police could not watch the building. The warning even from local law enforcement, they said, we don't have the manpower here. And they said, okay, well, whatever. I guess we'll just leave it open because we want someone to go up there and shoot the president. Local police alerted the Secret Service. So they're on notice. This isn't yesterday we went through all the different indicia of mental culpability, mental criminality, culpable mental states, guilty minds, guilty mens rea, about whether it's a negligent thing or whether it's a reckless thing or whether it's intentional misconduct. And this is intentional. They knew they had other options. They didn't have to put Trump out there. They could have called this event off. We can't secure the perimeter. We think you're going to get shot. So they made decisions to go forward, opening and leaving open this window. Local police alerted the Secret Service before Trump's rally. We lack the resources to station a patrol car outside a key building. Told them the district attorney in Butler County, where the rally took place, the Secret Service was informed that the local police department did not have the manpower to assist with any of this. Small town cops, man. We don't have any manpower to assist with securing the building. Secret Service is like, perfect. They don't have the building. They texted him. Oh, hey, assassin. They're not going to be able to secure that building. Here, it's right here. Let me send you. I'll put a pin in that for you. Boop. There you go. Right there. Right on the roof. Right there. Perfect. Goldinger's account was confirmed by a Secret Service official who was briefed on the incident, but this person spoke on condition of anonymity, right? Why? Because they don't want you to know that they left the building open. They're covering it up. They're covering up the truth. The Secret Service official confirmed that positioning an officer outside the building was considered one of the ways to protect against the risk. So you've got some local cops sitting in there munching on donuts or something, with all due respect to local cops, but they're going to put a patrol car out there around that whole huge building. That's the solution? Wild. That a shooter on high ground has a clear line of sight. The building is owned by AGR International, was just outside the security perimeter for the Saturday rally, and authorities from a number of jurisdictions were on the ground on Saturday. Officials still determining how the building was guarded, if at all, and how the gunman was able to reach the roof. But the warning from local law enforcement of insufficient manpower adds to questions about whether there was adequate security. Now, the AR rifle was purchased by Dad of Crooks in 2013. Authorities have confirmed the father purchased more than a dozen guns over the years, not immediately clear how many of those he still owned at the time of the shooting. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, also to discuss, said they also found a remote trigger device on the roof with Crooks after he was shot. So he was going to blow something else up. The FBI has said previously that rudimentary suspicious devices were found in his vehicle near the shooting site and at his home. Authorities still trying to determine why he launched the attack. They can't figure out the motive. The proposal to station a patrol car and officer outside the complex has been part of the advanced planning. They say it has an expansive roof, unobstructed view 150 feet away. Of course, we've got one rally goer dead, the most serious security failure since the Reagan assassination. A lot of people calling for an independent probe. FBI is leading the criminal investigation. Congress is planning to hold hearings. Bunch of people digging into this. Cheadle's taking responsibility, but she's not going to do anything. She's not going anywhere because she is Cheadle. So the Secret Service knew the building was not secure, and the father had even called the police. Here was one report from MJ Truth Ultra on X. He clipped this over from CBS News Chicago. They got this report, and here's what they said.
Questions surrounding the gunman and the security flaws. The FBI tells us they've successfully gained access to the shooter's phone, looking for any information on a motive. Investigator Megan Hickey has been tracking the developments. Megan, we're learning the shooter's father actually called police after the shooting.
Right, Erica. Law enforcement sources tell CBS News that the gunman's father called local police after the shooting took place. Right now, we don't have details about the nature of that call or the exact timing, but investigators say the family of the shooter is cooperating. Meanwhile, new video posted to social media also shows some attendees at the Trump rally noticing the gunman on the roof and alerting police at least 1 minute before the shooting.
At least 1 minute.
Right here, right on the roof. He's coming up now.
Just a minute after this was taken, the shots were fired, injuring former President Donald Trump, killing a spectator and critically wounding 2 others. The sheriff of Butler County told our CBS affiliate that a local police officer was hoisted up onto the roof by another officer to check the premises. After receiving those bystander reports, the officer saw the shooter who pointed the rifle at him. He said the officer then let go and fell from the roof.
There's going to be finger pointing starting now until whenever, until until all the facts come out. And I think as me, I'm looking, let's wait till this is over, and then we can see at the end of the day what we need to correct to make this not happen.
And Sheriff Michael Sloop repeatedly called the security plan flawed.
Whoa! How are these dudes up there? Are they like magicians?
And today he also said securing the building was not part of the pre-planning he did with Secret Service. He said he was never asked to sweep the building and has no idea if anyone did a sweep.
Wow.
We know the gun was legally purchased by Thomas Matthew Crook's father from a now closed gun dealer in 2013, but a law enforcement source has also confirmed that the shooter purchased 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store just hours before the shooting. Federal authorities are still investigating what may have prompted the gunman to carry out the shooting. So far, they say it appears he acted alone, and in their update this afternoon, the FBI said the search of the subject's home and car, they are now complete, Erica.
All right, so hopefully they'll tell us something about it, but amazing that that guy was able to do all of that without the Secret Service stopping him at all. So it turns out that they did call the cops, the family did, and apparently they called the cops before, saying he was missing before the shooting, right? So was it before the shooting or was it after the shooting that they called? So did the Secret Service and law enforcement know that this was going to go down because the parents called and they still didn't stop it? It follows another stunning development that the 20-year-old gunman was at the rally 3 hours before opening fire and sparked suspicions because the Secret Service knew he was carrying a rangefinder, which you use to measure your shots. Why do you need that at a rally? You don't. To say that they were concerned about their son's whereabouts. Apparently the parents called law enforcement. We don't know where our son is. Well, he's now on a roof, lady. He climbed onto a roof and shot Trump, killed a volunteer firefighter, Corey Comparator. Crooks told his boss he needed the day off from work on Saturday. Gave colleagues a final chilling message. Says, I'll be back on Sunday. You can see here's more of the scene. Father told law enforcement he assumed his son had gone to the shooting range at the Sportsman's Club to practice with his rifle and that he'd be back, said CNN. Dad thought he went to the range. But as time went on, he grew more concerned. Son's not home. Around 3 p.m. on Saturday, Crooks was spotted at the rally security screening area. He tried to pass through metal detectors with a rangefinder, which is used by shooters to measure distance. The device, which looks like a small pair of binoculars, would not have prevented him from getting in, but it did put him on law enforcement's radar. So law enforcement says, okay, this dude's coming in. It's a rangefinder. It says, well, I had it with me. Secret Service watched him, but they lost track of Crooks when he left the secure area. Oops, lost him. Weird, another mistake. So they had him in his sights, in their sights literally, and they lost the dude. Sure. He is then believed to have collected the rifle that he used to shoot Trump, kill a rally attendee, and wound others from his car, which also contained a bulletproof vest and 2 explosive devices. Walks over to the car, just loads up. Secret Service again. They're like, where is our food? Where is it? Then, about 40 minutes before the shooting, Crooks was back on the Secret Service radar. So they see this dude again. 40 minutes. A photograph showing the sniper appearing to crawl on the ground while scouring the area was circulated to law enforcement as a suspicious sighting at 5:30, 40 minutes before the shooting took place. So someone took a picture of him and said, we might have a sniper crawling around on the ground. They waited. They wanted this to happen just like J6, man. Delay as a device. Delay as a tool. Around 6:11, Crooks took up a position on the slanted roof, shot Trump from a distance, 165 yards. 40 minutes. Secret Service is just twiddling their thumbs for 40 minutes. They're not following him around? Who else are they looking for? This is Matthew Crooks. Looks rough, man. You can imagine. My son did what? Witnesses spotted Crooks crawling onto the roof. A Secret Service counter sniper team, codenamed Hawkeye, also spotted him looking at their position through the rangefinder. And there's some people saying that maybe he shot at the Secret Service because we did see that one sniper from the counter sniper team kind of come up and then come back down. He could have been shocked. Other people saying maybe he was being shot at, maybe by a second shooter. But the Clairton Sportsman Club, where the father believed that he was going, states that its high-power rifle range has 10 firing benches at 100 and 187 yards. Perfect. Crooks is believed to have been firing from about 165 yards when the bullet struck Trump's ear. The latest bombshell developments raise more questions about the massive security failures, and of course the community is reeling. Later revealed that the detonator was connected to explosives found in the car, and that was apparently affixed to a bicycle, which was also related to the assassination attempt. Here's some images of the detonator and the cell phone, Thomas Crooks' cell phone, which apparently they've now got access to. And so 3 hours, they've got eyes on this guy. And as we saw, he went through with a rangefinder. They just allowed him to waltz on in there. So this guy is also the town manager of Butler, and he came out and reported for us a lot. So this is his interview, again with Fox News Digital, walking us through what happened with that officer who was trying to pull himself up because the Secret Service was asleep at the wheel.
All law enforcement were notified of a suspicious person somewhere on the grounds. Once the suspicious individual was identified as being in the vicinity of the AGR building, our police, who were primarily assigned to traffic duty and traffic, did in fact, because of the proximity, move towards that building to assist in trying to find and identify, the suspicious person. It's a light manufacturing office building. I'm not aware of a very specific assignment, not being part of the planning meetings, to whether or not anybody was truly assigned, dedicated to not only the building, but that immediate grounds. I don't have that answer. One of our police officers, long-term, police officer here with our department, once that suspicious individual report came out and our police arrived, in the immediate area of the building, they did do a perimeter search. We're unable to see the person on top of the building from their vantage point. So one of our other police officers, literally boosted one of our police officers up high enough in the air to grab hold of the edge of the roof. Approximate height of 12 feet from ground to where he was able to grab a hand, hold himself up to where his head was above the roof. Did observe an individual on the roof. Individual was identified as having a weapon and did point that firearm at our officer. At that time, our officer took up defensive position from hanging from a ledge, ducked his head, did in fact lose his grip, fell approximately 8 feet, did sustain an injury to his ankle.
Broken ankle, man, roofs.
On the ground, both the lifting officer and the prone officer both called in, identifying the individual on the roof as being armed. We did not man the actual entrance gates. I've heard the same story, but I don't have any other information than what's being broadcast right now. I can tell you, if there is none of that spilled over into this building and none of it's been directed to our officers, there has, to the best of my knowledge, not been any direct communication with members of Secret Service to our officials. There are ongoing interviews with all law enforcement that were at the event, regardless of what their roles were. So we're all just waiting on that information to be all put together into one public report. I think there's some misconception about overall response. I can only speak for our officers transitioning from what was supposed to be a primary traffic control assistance.
That's all they were supposed to do.
A person of suspicion or a suspicious person. I mean, I think our law enforcement did exactly what training taught them to do and did their job. How
you guys weren't even supposed to be doing that.
That's another thing for what I hope to be a really complete report on the incident, educate everybody. A gap in time with unknowns. That leads to all the angry emails and calls that, township elected officials, myself, and especially the police are received. Again, the report is as timely as possible and given in a way that the public can clearly follow, the timelines and how different components happened and, everybody not just learns from it, but living in fear, but just living, get away from it. I think I'd welcome any kind of a review that gets benefit, from the outcome. Certainly hope that whatever, is out there to be learned from it gets learned and, apply that to everything going forward. So I have not been asked any questions. Again, as far as, the overall interviews that I'm aware of that are taking place that the FBI are spearheading, I think they're all fact-finding from everybody that was involved.
Yeah, right.
My understanding is they're going to take place this week. What the duration is, I don't know. I think the overall operation plan that the Butler Township Police developed for their role in the traffic control, well laid out, well planned, intercommunicated with other agencies that were tasked.
We did our jobs.
As a whole. I thought that their response going from traffic control and or potentially patrol into a potential
counter assassination
kind of a response.
Yeah, active shooter.
Spoke well to their training, spoke well to them doing their job. They responded as timely as they were notified and took probably an unorthodox method of trying to identify anybody on the roof because there wasn't access to it. It is unfortunate that one officer did get hurt, but I'd like to think that their timely identification hopefully helped minimize as best as possible the overall situation. I can honestly say here right now, I have not seen any type of email and or call-in correspondence that was direct threatening. However, the harshness of criticism from both sides of the spectrum been pretty brutal and relentless. It's been going on for roughly 2 days now. Again, I think when the entirety of the investigation is done and we have the full, complete story of how this whole event unfolded, hopefully those that are as quick to send a hate email can send back an apology just as quickly.
That would be nice, but don't count on it. A lot of people are pretty upset about this. People don't really know where to place their anger. Don't know that the local cops are where it should go. I think this is a Secret Service jurisdictional problem. As usual, the feds have a lot to answer for. So we'll, of course, be here continuing to cover this, my friends. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel wherever it is you're watching this. And thanks for inviting someone over to come join us when we go live. We know that YouTube says that our show here is not very authoritative because we don't regurgitate their talking points. And so we're grateful for your shares, grateful for your subscriptions, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one.